Hey, it's Frank here with 4D Honeybee. It's August 29th. It's an overcast day, but it's stinking warm. It's 30 degrees Celsius, putting us at 86 Fahrenheit. And although it's overcast, it's a great foraging day. It's been warm all day. It's been warm for a couple of days now. We had rain for a couple of days, but I've got to inspect these hives now. What happens is, from middle to late August, I get really tied up. I take a week or two vacation. The kids are off to camp. The wife is starting school, work, and I neglect the bees at that point. What I end up doing anyway when I come out in this late August session is more or less just assessments. I'm not going to do anything too rash today. I've got 6 different hives down there in 6 different situations. I got a nuke that I started in late June that's doing fine. Added a second brood box to it. Got to check that one out. I've got a split hive that I thought was queenless. I added a queen. They got rid of the queen. It has a queen. It was laying brood. All this was 3 weeks ago, mind you. I got the split hive, the Costanza hive, which is queenless and could still be queenless, who knows. I've got the gangbusters hive that's been going great. I just want to have a look at the brood. In that case, I've got the nasty hive, which has been going great, but I'm going to do that one last because it's nasty and a whole bunch of bees come out at me. And I've got the other nuke that appeared to be queenless the last time I checked that too. So I'm checking for resources. I've even got a little notebook and pen here because I'm going to write down the resources, the total resources that I've got in all 6 hives and the 7th hive that I have at home, because I've got to start planning out who gets what honey and how much things like pollen there are stored just for the next few weeks, because we still have at least 2 rounds of brood being hatched out. So last year they were hatching out brood into mid to late October. For sure, that's when I stopped checking for it. So that's what I'm going to do. I know it's long-winded intro, but I got a lot of stuff to do today. I'm going to break it down into 6 different videos, so they're not too long. I won't do a long-winded intro on each. I'll just focus on each specific hive. And thanks for joining me on 4D Honeybee. I'm checking my Costanza split hive. So this is the hive that I split out of a 4-frame nuke. I made a 4-frame nuke out of it. The original queen had fled. She had left me about 8 or 9 swarm cells. So I transferred 3 or 4 of them in here. For about 40 days it didn't seem that they had made another queen. So I ended up re-queening it. And they killed that queen. And sure enough, a few days later, there was a viable queen in there. So I think one of the queens that they did make did end up becoming viable. So now this hive was laying about 3 weeks ago, and I'm just going to check to see that it still has a good laying queen. If the sister hive to this hive, so the original Costanza hive, if it's still struggling and queenless, then I'm going to probably end up combining it with this hive, because I think this hive is doing well. So again, my goal here is just to see that there is still a viable queen in here laying. I mean, it's pretty good numbers. Certainly a lot more numbers than what I put in there originally. Wow, just a ton of dark pollen. You can see some of the pollen that was stuck in these cells of Urcomb. And it is just so dark in the fall. The honey in the fall here comes out really dark as compared to the really light honey in the spring. Okay, so what we're looking at is a decent cluster of bees in here. Still a lot of drawing out to do on these outside 3 or maybe 4 frames. So, you know, this hive could use the extra bees. Now, first and foremost, I just want to see if there is a queen in here and if she's laying all right. And if she is, then that really makes it an easy decision to do the combine. Because this hive, I'd like to see this hive with more bees in it heading into winter. I'll show you why, so you can see my bird's eye view on it. Have a look. So here you see the outside 1, 2, 3.5 frames. They're not even drawn out. There's no bees on them. Here's where we start getting into the bees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish. The last one here doesn't have any bees on it. So this started off, I did this as a 4-frame nuke, so really they haven't drawn out much. They've maybe drawn out 1 frame in the last month, and that's not going to be enough to bode well for winter. You can see there's nothing on here. You know what I'm going to do with this hive? Because there's not that many bees in it, I'm going to make this a nice and patient inspection to try and find the queen. You can't see it, but there's 4 or 5 bees constantly around my face here. And that's from my previous hive inspection. The previous hive got a little nasty. This hive might get nasty too, because we're into some overcast weather here with possible storms coming. But I'm going to forge ahead with this inspection and see what it gives me. Got my gloves on so that I worry less about the bees and focus more on my job here. So lots of pollen. Every one of these bees is coming in loaded with pollen. So I'm going to take a quick look for the queen here. I doubt she would be here, but you never know. Okay. I won't pull any more frames out of the box. I won't leave them out, but I will pull them out to look for the queen. So what I'm doing is, as I pull the frame out, I'm looking at the side of the next frame. You can't really see it really well, but I'm looking there first because the queen has a way of running out of the sunshine, right? I'm going to look at this side first, which was the dark side. Maybe she hasn't left this side yet. Not sure how much you can see there, so I'll bring the frame closer to you. The bees are semi-frantic, more so than anything, I think, just because of the smoke I put them on them. They're not very aggressive yet. Okay, now this next frame is one of the frames that I added in here that was drawn out and I spun. So it was one of the honey frames that I took from another hive. So she should have had a lot of room to lay in here. And again, look at the next frame first. Looking for brood, and I do see cat brood on that frame, so that's good. Lots of honey on this frame here. If you look at it, and then lots of pollen. It's pretty much all honey and pollen on this side. Let's see what it is on that side. Okay, on that side it's all honey and pollen. Same thing. So definitely, so far, not enough resources in this hive to consider it surviving in the winter on its own. So again, things still pointing towards a combine with the Costanza hive, if it's still queenless as well. I have 2 other hives, the Costanza hive and another one of my nuke hives, which could be queenless. So they're all good contenders for combining. Okay, so there's some brood here. There's also a big supersedure queen cell here that's already open. So this was a frame where they had built this queen cell before. You see it? It's an odd looking thing. It's long and skinny. There was nothing in it. There was a hole in the bottom, so it's hard to tell whether it was hatched or whether they just never made anything of it. There's brood in here. And there's larvae. Not sure, hard to tell. Hard to tell because this frame is really oddly shaped. You see it? You see how it's kind of indented here and kind of odd shaped here, so it's hard to tell if they're just not using those odd-sized cells. Here again, this is a frame that still has some larvae, or sorry, some brood right in the middle. So this could be one where you see eggs, and yes, we do have eggs here. Very hard to spot, but there are eggs here. Eggs, larvae, and brood, so more or less all stages here. Let's have a look for the queen. Shocker, I don't see her. Okay, we'll look on her here on this side first. This is a good brood frame here, so more good sign. I'm going to just smoke them a little bit. Again, these bees are doing fine, but I still got a couple of bees around me from the previous hive. Look at that brood. That looks great. So all sign is that this hive does have a viable queen. And that makes it a good contender to be combined, particularly because the queen is in the bottom brood box, right? There is no upper brood box, there is just a bottom brood box. So the plan will be to inspect the Costanza hive next, and if it is still queenless, the next time I come out here, I will do a newspaper combined with these two hives and see if they take as one hive and become strong. Here's some amazing brood on this side here. See that? We've got brood, we've got eggs, and we've got larvae. Very nice. This side, about the same. Very nice frame. So this queen is doing quite well. And I will give these guys a pollen patty as well. And then the other good thing about combining these hives is that with all these frames over here that are undrawn, I'll just take drawn frames from the other hive, from the Costanza hive, and put them in. So all of a sudden this hive will go from being kind of cavernous and unworked on to more full and ready for winter. Wow. Another beautiful brood frame. This queen's doing just fine. This side as well. Nice and thick with brood, look at it. We get another awkwardly shaped frame, but they're really building it out nicely. Okay, last frame I'm going to look at. The queen may be on this one. It's not drawn out fully, but it looks like it's drawn out enough for her to lay in. So let's have a close look on this one. Lots of big bees, but no, I don't see the queen on this side. Let's see if she's run around to the other side. No queen here. There's lots of bees on the side of the box, but if you've seen any one of my videos here, you know that I'm not good at spotting the queen. So mission accomplished for this hive though. This hive has it was a split that I did. It was actually my first solo split. It's the first split I did on my own. So I'm proud of it. It came from a problematic hive where the queen swarmed a couple of times. But this thing is viable, so that's great. As far as resources go, it needs more honey. It needs some pollen. It's got a lot of pollen, and all the bees that are coming in are bringing pollen. But I think they could use more, because there's a good 4 frames full of brood ready to hatch here. But it has 4 frames that are not drawn out, so if this were going into winter, what I would want to do is replace at least probably 3 of these frames with honey and put them in on the ends to act as insulators, then leave the inside, let's say 4 or 5 frames as their nest, and that's it. So I'm going to close this one up. I will take a quick look at the Costanza hive, although the weather is working against me here. I will try a quick look in there just to see if there's a queen in there, because there shouldn't be. And if there isn't, then I plan a newspaper combine for my next trip out here. So this is a successful split, and thank you for joining me at 4D Honeybee. Hello everybody! Don't ask me why I just did that. I just suddenly turned into Dr. Nick on The Simpsons, but it's the Costanza hive. It's everybody's favorite hive. It's the Costanza hive. Why do we call it the Costanza hive, you ask? Well, because this hive is the opposite of everything you ever think it's going to be. This hive swarmed on me, left me some queen cells, could not make a queen. Last time I requeened it, they killed that queen, and then didn't seem to replace it with anything. So as of 3 weeks ago, this was a queenless hive. So what would I expect now? Well, I would expect it to continue to be a queenless hive. And I'm considering combining this hive with my split that I did off of this hive when it swarmed, and combining them into one strong hive. So since that's my plan, there's no way this hive will let me do that. What I expect to see in here is a queenless hive, lots of honey production, lots of action, decent amount of bees, but no queen. What I'll probably find is a perfectly strong queened hive. So there, I got both my bases covered, Costanza. Let's see what you got for me now. First look, decent amount of bees. We'll look for a queen on the lid here. Now, this hive had been making a ton of honey. So this upper brood box was just, I mean, it's getting to be as I recall, 4 or 5 deep frames of capped honey. So, you know, I considered taking that honey, and I did take some honey from it earlier when it was honey bound, and I wanted room for the queen to lay. But now, all I'm doing with my 6 hives here and my 1 hive at home is I'm pooling all the resources, making sure I know what every hive has and doesn't have and what they need, so that, you know, I'm not taking honey here that I could need at another hive. That's the beauty about having multiple hives, is you can use resources from one to help the other. So again, I'm looking for a queen, but not looking for a queen. I'm kind of looking for queen sign, and basically I'm going to head right into the bottom brood box here and see if there's any brood. Because up top here, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3 frames of honey. 3 full frames of capped honey. And they haven't done anything on the new frames that I put in for them to draw out. So have a look here. I'll give you a quick example here. So this is what most of this upper box looks like. Pretty much completely untouched, see? And that's fine. Let's expect a queenless hive could make a lot of honey, or it could not. Right? Point is, we've got to see if there's a queen in there. And if not, it kind of looks like there are fewer bees in here than there were before. And that you would expect as well with the queenless hive, right? Because they're just not able to make any more bees. And natural attrition means that colony numbers go down, and then they don't retain their critical mass in order to be able to survive winter. And that's our goal here, is just to make it so that they can survive winter, right? So I'll let them sit on that smoke a bit. As I puffed it in, there was quite a big response, so there could be a decent number of bees in this hive, never know. Okay, off comes the first box. Just going to adjust your angle here. That's still pretty good. Okay, so what we're looking for here, more or less the obvious stuff. We need to see if there's a queen in this hive or not. And if there is, we should find brood and eggs. If there isn't, then what we consider is to, the next time I come out, I will do a newspaper combine with this hive and its sister hive, which I did a successful split on, which was my previous video, which has a good number of bees and brood happening. Okay, let's start over here. And you can see now what we've got in this hive looks like is a laying drone, right? Or a laying worker, an unfertilized laying worker, because you see all the drone eggs, right? So that can be a problem. That can make the combine a little more tricky, but maybe not. Depending on who you ask, you'll get the advice that if you do the newspaper combine, they get the pheromones coming up from the viable queen on the other, in the other hive, and this hive, the workers from this hive will stop laying. Now, that may happen, it may not. It may be that this hive believes that they have a queen because there are eggs being laid and tended to. And you can see that's just no queen in this hive. So the question is, what's the best way to combine these bees? You'll also get the advice to shake the bees out somewhere distant so that the workers can't find their way back, and your laying worker will not return to the new combined hive. But I don't know if I believe that. I think these bees are pretty smart. They have their own ways of doing things. A bunch of larvae here. Just scattered larvae in here too, but this is very likely going to be just a laying worker that's laying drone comb. So that's all we've seen so far. Let's see. Nothing much on that frame, so I won't pull it out. This frame looks like it could be a completely capped honey frame. This is one of the frames that I spun earlier and brought back. Nope, it's completely open. Look at that. How's that for a beautiful frame to be able to lay if you're a queen, right? Completely wide open. Just starting to get nectar in here. So again, this box has resources that the other box needs, right? The other queen needs drawn out frames like this. So, and that other box that has the right laying queen does not have that many bees in it. It has a lot of frames that are completely undrawn out. And this one is nice. So, again, I think, you know, I'll look through the next 4 frames, but it's definitely looking like a combine is in order between the original Costanza, and its successful split. Because there's just nothing happening on these frames, right? See a bit of nectar. And again, maybe what we do is we don't even transfer those, we don't even transfer the frames that have the worker brood in them, the worker unfertilized brood in them, the drone comb, I guess, because then they don't even have to worry about that. This is all nectar here. So I think definitely a combine is in order. What I'll do is I'll take the frames that are capped honey, I'll put those on the outside. I'll combine the hives, I'll combine the 2 boxes just so that they don't, so that they do accept the queen's pheromones down below. And then I may even end up just combining the whole hive into 1 box, because there's just not that many bees for 2 boxes here. Have a look at this last one. I don't expect it to be much more than honey. It's a nice honey frame. Yep. Okay, so that's it. Costanza Virdict is finally in. Costanza couldn't make a queen, but the split from Costanza did make a queen, who's doing well. So the next time I come out, I will do a newspaper combine. I'd like to know if you really believe strongly that I should shake the worker bees out. I tend to lean against that, but I also don't want to do anything to hurt the hive that does have the viable laying queen. So give me your remarks below. I'd love to hear from them, from you, and learn from them. And thanks for joining me at 4D Honeybee.